So are you excited about this?
No.
They'll tell you it was just medical risk. But the truth is, Christine's birth reveals the toll of living with Cody.
I'm not really progressing as much as I usually am.
In Christine Brown's account of giving birth to Truly, one detail stands out. Her body seemed to revolt. Labor stalled, milk supply faltered, and the entire process reeked of distress. This is not unusual. Stress can derail the finely tuned hormonal machinery of birth and breastfeeding. Cortisol, the body's stress hormone, is the great saboteur of prolactin and oxytocin, both essential for lactation. Her physiology appeared to be screaming what her heart already knew. This was not the environment to bring a child into. The circumstances surrounding Truly's birth were markedly different from Christine's previous pregnancies.
I was concerned when Christine had her miscarriage.
After a traumatic miscarriage that nearly cost her life, she was strongly advised, understandably, to deliver in a hospital. Add to that her advanced maternal age, the presence of a full camera crew, and the emotional fallout of living in a collapsing polygamist household, and the scene was set for complication. Critics have pointed out that it is absurd to romanticize biology as though her uterus were making a conscious decision about her marriage. Labor does not pause to weigh the merits of one's husband, nor does milk dry up simply to protest a bootleg family structure.
She's probably just, thank you, God. Get me through this.
Bodies are not that poetic. They are, however, vulnerable to stress, trauma, and the accumulated risks of multiple pregnancies. And Christine endured all three.
It's like a new and different adventure.
The more pregnancies a woman has, the higher the likelihood of complications. Christine reportedly conceived 12 times, a staggering number by modern standards. Historically, women were driven into such cycles of pregnancy with grim expectations. 3 or 4 children lost before adolescence was the norm before antibiotics and vaccines changed the story. To demand that every 12th pregnancy be as smooth as the first is not only naive, but cruel.
Just because I really had a hard time having enough milk. And it was important to me that she get breast milk.
It is also worth noting that breastfeeding difficulties are hardly exotic. Even the most blissful, supported, and well-nourished mothers can struggle. To suggest otherwise veers into dangerous territory, shaming women for outcomes that biology, not willpower, controls. Christine's story is not evidence that her body mounted a protest against her husband. It is evidence that she was human, older, grieving, stressed, and filmed during one of life's most vulnerable events.
She missed you. It was hard you couldn't be there.
And yes, it is also evidence of the damage done by a man whose presence could turn even the most sacred moments into crises. Robin Brown didn't just marry Cody. She married the TLC paycheck, and now the empire is crumbling. Robin Brown has built a career out of looking perpetually exhausted, and the reason isn't much of a mystery. Her grand plan collapsed.
So I'm trying to get a surveyor to meet with us and sort of consult us about reconfiguring the property.
The dream was simple enough. Coyote Pass as a polygamist empire, complete with self-sustaining businesses and a cushy retirement, all funded by the other wives while she enjoyed the spoils. But reality intervened, and now she's left glaring at the ruins, furious that Cody proved incapable of keeping his crumbling kingdom in order. She blames him, of course.
Cody's actual time that he spends in each home is pretty equal.
He couldn't maintain relationships with the other wives, couldn't develop reliable income streams beyond the TLC paycheck, and couldn't stop his family from exposing the favoritism everyone already saw on screen.
I'm not married to him anymore. It's so freaking awesome.
Christine, meanwhile, escaped and is now thriving, the life Robin imagined for herself. Nothing stings more than watching the woman she dismissed as expendable living out the fantasy. Robin never planned for anyone to leave. The show was supposed to run indefinitely, with the other wives swallowing crumbs while she sat comfortably at the head of the table.
I think after we moved to Flagstaff,
Once the family moved to Flagstaff, she grew even more comfortable draining the communal pot, confident the others would keep replenishing it. She expected them to cover for her, toe the line, and keep up appearances, while she privately crowned herself head wife. Instead, Cody revealed himself as weak, unable to keep his wives in line. Now the so-called favorite is stuck with him, and with the loss of income that came when the others finally rebelled. She never wanted to be left alone with Cody, and certainly not to watch her status evaporate in public.
So Mary's committed to staying with the family.
Even Mary, the last possible ally, isn't enough. The crown jewel of her imagined compensation package, Coyote Pass, has turned into a battlefield, and she's lost the upper hand. What Robin never grasped is human nature. She believed the original wives would accept their lot indefinitely, dutifully playing supporting roles in her fairy tale.
I totally looked at him as head of our family.
She wanted the image of equality without the practice of it, and Cody, ever eager to indulge her, complied with every demand. But when the other women refused to keep dancing for the cameras, her plan fell apart. Adding insult to injury, Janelle's ventures, Janelle Says and Tata Farms, are thriving, a reminder of everything Robin failed to accomplish with her defunct My Sister Wives closet. She expected deference, not competition, and has been outplayed at her own game.
I started talking about how can we get out of this show.
The unspoken pact was that no one would leave because the show kept the money flowing. Robin counted on Christine and Mary being pathetically devoted enough to stay for the paycheck. When Christine refused, choosing her own dignity over Cody's charade, the illusion collapsed. Robin wasn't upset that Cody failed as a husband. She was upset that he failed as a manipulator. If he had been better at convincing the others to sacrifice themselves for the greater good of the show, she would have happily let their relationships with him disintegrate completely. At its core, Robin's marriage to the Brown family was always about the show. Any affection for the other wives or their children was transactional.
I moved in with Robin when my dad and Robin were first courting because
With rare exceptions like McKelty, who conveniently doubled as a free nanny. The tragedy for Robin is that she and Cody overplayed their hand. They treated everyone else as tools instead of people, and when those tools walked away, the empire they imagined crumbled with them. Robin says she was working when tragedy struck, but does anyone actually believe she works at all? Robin Brown once claimed she was working when she received the news of Garrison's passing. The obvious problem with this statement is that Robin has never displayed even a single activity that could reasonably qualify as work. The most generous interpretation is that she was filming one of those isolated confessionals, similar to when Mary got the call from Cody. If so, perhaps her reaction was so odd, inappropriate, or downright offensive that TLC wisely left it on the cutting room floor. Anything else strains belief, unless one entertains the notion that Robin has graduated from basic delusion to the deluxe edition.
So when we tell you that really the kids are all ours.
Contrast that with Mary, whose reaction to the same tragedy was genuinely heartbreaking. Watching her rush to Janelle's side, with food no less, highlighted the complicated but enduring bond between them. They may not be friends, but in moments of grief, Mary showed up as family. She had long been another mother figure for Garrison, and her raw grief reflected that. It was a reminder that Mary, for all her flaws, has done the hard, unglamorous work of self-reflection and personal growth. She still has distance to travel, but at least she's on the road. Respect is due for that.
Okay, listen, Suki.
Right?
I want to shut you down now.
Robin, meanwhile, can't even be bothered to do the bare minimum on the show that made her famous. She floats through episodes, walking away mid-conversation, fake crying, refusing to answer questions, or feigning confusion at every turn. Household responsibilities? Non-existent. Parenting and cooking? Outsourced. Laziness seems to be her most consistent occupation.
Well, that's all gone. So are you excited about this?
No, not at all. I'd rather have a root canal.
Her most honest moment may have arrived during the so-called Tell Nothing special, when she admitted she'd rather endure a root canal than participate. For once, she told the truth. After all, watching clips of herself, dabbing at bone-dry eyes beneath heavy lashes and mumbling that she's confused must be absolutely exhausting. In short, Robin's work is a masterclass in performance art, except no one's buying the act anymore. Nothing kills the weight of a tragic story faster than Mary Brown's awkward laugh. And once you notice it, you'll never take her seriously again.
This is honestly how I felt for quite a long time.
Mary Brown has a peculiar habit. She laughs, constantly. Not just at jokes or lighthearted moments, but even in the middle of devastating confessions, painful memories, or conversations where gravity should reign. The result is less comic relief and more uncomfortable spectacle, like someone giggling through a funeral eulogy. This tic seems less about humor and more about survival.
And it said, keep sweet on the headboard. If you have a problem.
Raised in a culture where women were taught to keep sweet, Mary learned early on to smooth over conflict and repress strong opinions. What slips out now is nervous laughter, a maladaptive coping mechanism that turns even her most heartbreaking experiences into awkward punchlines. It's laugh so you don't cry on endless replay. Unfortunately, this instinct doesn't just soften her own pain, it undermines it. Hearing someone chuckle about being abandoned after 30 years of marriage or about enduring emotional neglect doesn't inspire sympathy. It diminishes the very weight of the experience.
I loved seeing you guys so excited.
The laughter makes it harder to take her seriously, and it can even feel like she's erasing her own suffering in real time. The pattern is hardly unique to Mary.
I wanted to sit.
Christine covers discomfort with self-deprecation, while Robin drowns hers in tears. Each, in their own way, embodies the groupthink drilled into them from birth. Individuality suppressed, emotions redirected, and truth filtered through performance. But with Mary, the problem is compounded by her communication style.
Maybe.
So
That land, you got divided already.
Instead of speaking plainly, she cloaks her frustrations in jokes, veiled comments, or passive-aggressive social media quotes. It's an approach that might make sense for someone who has been silenced for decades, but it's maddening to watch in someone now branding herself as a self-help guru. Advice from a woman who can't regulate her own emotions without nervous giggles feels more like parody than wisdom. At its core, Mary's laughter is involuntary, almost childlike, a defense mechanism born from years of repression and rejection, especially within the dynamic of the original wives.
I just kind of shut down and I backed away.
She admits she shuts down, and the chuckling seems to be her last-ditch way of staying present. But without therapy or genuine self-awareness, it remains what it has always been, a nervous tic masquerading as strength, when in reality, it only highlights fragility. What if I told you Mary wasn't just Cody's victim, but his accomplice? Few dynamics on Sister Wives are as revealing or as tragic.
Sometimes it's easier for me to not have Cody mad at me.
As Mary's repeated habit of throwing Christine under the bus. Season after season, she deflects Cody's wrath by sacrificing Christine to his temper, only to giggle later in confessionals about how she managed to keep herself out of trouble. Watching her smirk about not wanting Cody mad at her is less amusing than it is pathetic. The examples are plentiful.
Grab an umbrella,
The infamous Thanksgiving tables, the umbrella fiasco on the beach, and countless other moments where the wives competed to watch each other squirm in Cody's good graces.
Private, you can't ever gripe to me. You know what?
It became a perverse sport of self-preservation, with each wife lowering her standards just to remain in his favor. The bitter irony, of course, is knowing now that the good father routine was nothing more than theater. Cody was a negligent, controlling patriarch from the beginning.
He would come over like at 5 at night.
The more children he had, the less he invested in them, especially the ones belonging to the original 3 wives. Mary's behavior deserves criticism, but it also reveals a darker truth: desperation. By the time the cameras rolled, she was no longer even in the marital rotation, having been sidelined long before. That neglect bred insecurity and jealousy, most visibly toward Christine.
Christine really does handle Cody's disagreement.
Her excuse that Christine can handle Cody's anger better than I can was nothing but a cowardly justification. Worse still was her smug delight during Cody's infamous knife in the kidneys tirade against Christine.
Man, just the knife in the kidney!
Where Mary all but declared Christine deserved his abuse. That moment cemented her role not just as a victim of Cody's cruelty, but as a willing accomplice. The irony is thick. Cody himself often ridiculed Mary for being argumentative, even using absurd anecdotes such as her supposed insistence about spearmint gum or the Stonehenge conversation to belittle her.
I mean, Stonehenge is a place that I've wanted to go for.
He never cared what she wanted, and yet Mary fought tooth and nail to secure even scraps of his attention. Their disagreements inevitably escalated into all-out battles, a reflection not only of Cody's punitive nature but also of Mary's inability to stand firm without redirecting blame. This doesn't absolve her. It contextualizes her. Under the thumb of an egotist like Cody, Mary weaponized Christine's resilience as a shield for herself. Christine, for her part, seemed to understand this twisted survival tactic, even as it eroded their relationship. She did not hate Mary. She loved her, but chose distance over constant betrayal. In the end, the tragedy of Mary's story is not only that she endured decades of Cody's neglect, but that she perpetuated his cruelty by redirecting it onto the one sister wife she envied most. Forget the mansion and Mercedes. Cody and Robin are one canceled season away from financial ruin.
But then we had to take a private mortgage on a portion of it.
Cody and Robin Brown's finances remain the great mystery of sister wives, though the evidence points less toward savvy money management and more toward a precarious balancing act of debt, deception, and dwindling resources.
You're not paying your listing agent and your buyer's agent.
It has been several seasons since the wives separated their show income from Cody and Robin, with private earnings largely kept out of the family pot as well. The household contributions shrank noticeably.
And I've been holding out, waiting for this dream on this property.
Yet somehow Cody and Robin managed to fund private school tuition, a sprawling mansion, and even a Mercedes convertible. On paper, it simply doesn't add up. Cody's occasional sales of gun accessories could hardly bankroll such a lifestyle.
And put it towards the next house that I purchase.
The likelier explanation is that he siphoned funds from the original 3 wives before they caught on, then leveraged the profits of the Las Vegas homes to upgrade into their Flagstaff McMansion. Debt filled in the rest. By all appearances, the pair are drowning in it, living well beyond their means and gambling on the show's longevity to keep the bills paid. When the cameras finally stop rolling, the only upgrade they'll qualify for is a spot on a bankruptcy filing.
Get all that, Cody, but I don't have a house. I want my own house.
The irony writes itself. Cody and Robin forced into low-income housing, while the original 3 enjoy financial stability in their separate homes. Robin could even end up renting from Christine, a delicious twist of fate. Speculation about fraud is never far from the Browns, and with reason. From whispers of tax manipulation to suspicious use of education vouchers and loans, their finances resemble the smoke and mirrors of a New Jersey housewives subplot.
When you're bringing up the dramatic things in your life,
Debt is practically a family heirloom, hidden, shuffled, and likely concealed even between husband and wife. Robin may indulge in her doll obsession, but it seems doubtful Cody hands her a blank check. Add to that the lingering suspicion of multi-level marketing profits. Cody positioned as the upline benefiting from Mary, Janelle, and Christine's ventures in Plexus and LuLaRoe. The original wives kept paying into the family pot and even helped close out the debt on Coyote Pass, long after Cody and Robin had become the sole beneficiaries. In hindsight, defaulting on the loan might have been the more satisfying punishment.
I would love to go with you and talk to some person that you know.
Equity loans almost certainly pad their short-term liquidity, leaving them cash poor but temporarily afloat.
Hey man, how's it going?
I have a business partner, Brian.
In the end, Their so-called empire rests on quicksand, a lifestyle propped up by other people's money, questionable business schemes, and a looming financial collapse the moment the TLC safety net is pulled away. Everyone says Cody's great love story was with Robin. Here's why that might be completely wrong.
Janelle denies this.
Cody Brown's romantic history has always been a puzzle, but when it comes to Janelle, the evidence suggests their bond was far stronger than the show ever gave credit for. Among his original wives, Janelle may well have been his quiet favorite. Their relationship appeared less theatrical than his marriages to Mary or Christine, but perhaps precisely because of that, it seemed steadier and more genuine.
And so the family functions as a whole, but we all have our own autonomy.
Janelle was pragmatic, reserved, and uninterested in emotional theatrics. Unlike Mary, she did not demand constant validation. Unlike Christine, she did not press for declarations of love or romantic gestures.
Productive, contributing members of society.
Instead, her marriage to Cody seemed built on practical alignment, shared goals, financial sensibility, and the day-to-day mechanics of raising a large family. It was not a grand love story, but it was functional, even effective. For his part, Cody appeared to respect Janelle more than he often admitted.
Gabe, there's a little tree right there.
He favored her children, particularly her sons, and seemed to hold her in higher regard because she offered him both loyalty and independence. She was a divorced woman before marrying him, not a wide-eyed innocent. That self-possession may have made her more of an equal partner, at least until Robin arrived and shifted the balance of everything.
I think Garrison hurts.
Of course, Janelle was never going to tolerate Cody's growing estrangement from their children.
Cody feels like it's my responsibility to facilitate this relationship between he and my children.
She made clear that her loyalty would always be to them first. And once the rift between father and sons deepened, the marriage became untenable. Janelle may have kept her cards close to her chest, but she was decisive when it mattered.
We need to be conscious about our relationship and how
One cannot help but wonder if, without Robin's dominance or the family fractures, Cody and Janelle might have found their way back to one another in later years. Their relationship never burned with passion, but it had a stability that might have outlasted the chaos.
I really would identify myself as a feminist.
If nothing else, it proved that Janelle, unlike her sister wives, never needed Cody to define her. Cody's next reinvention is loading. Subscribe to watch it crash.